Man, y'all been making some bad mistakes, man. Oh, wait. No, that's me that's been making some bad mistakes. I didn't do a Bible study for a few days because I got off track and I was trying to figure out how to fix everything. And I think I fixed everything. And it'll be 27, it'll be 2760. So let's fix everything. Where's it at? 2760. Yeah. 2760. I got off track. Some pages and I missed some Bible studies. So I missed these studies right here. These studies right here. I skipped two different pages or two different columns. Yeah. So on page 436, I think it was column one, and on page 437, column three. And it was the same corresponding. And it was because I got off track on these. I had some of these, it's two columns at a time, two columns at a time. So two of 810 and then two of 811. Well, what had happened was I only had like one 810 and it went to then two 811s or something like that. So when I went to see where to do the study, yeah, I had skipped a couple columns here and there and got off track, got off kilter, and I was wondering why this thing, see, this is in black because I noticed it was off and I fixed it, but I never really fixed the problem. So I'm now fixing the problem. And I really thought that us looking at this potential 825 event date, that I was going to land on page 825, but now it ends up being 2 days. Actually, on the rising day of 827, it's 825, kind of a death and rising numerical sequence going on there. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and this is when I start new. So that's Philemon or whatever they call it. Um, I think I call him Philemon, but what does the guy call it? It's not Philemon. It's can't even think of it right now. And then we start First Peter right there on page 1780. And boy, you better make sure that you do two pages when you write them down, 1755 and so because it's two columns. And we're always on, the same column, like on column three. Well, today, this Friday, August 21st, it's column three. Even though, and hang on, let me make sure I fix that. Hang on just a second. So tonight's Bible study, anyway, we're going to do what we do to get caught up, to get leveled out. And then at the end of tonight's study, I'm going to go back and do the ones. So this will be a very long YouTube or reel, if the reel lasts that far. But I'm at Trey Stokes Daily Bible Studies if you want to watch the whole YouTube. All right, so let me get all set up. Oh, and I am all set up, so let's go. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it should smite the nations, and shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he have on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to the fowls, so this is the wedding supper of the Lamb. Like I told you, the wedding feast is the fowls or the birds eating the flesh of all that have gone through God's wrath. Goat world, the animals, so on and so forth, all the humans, human goats. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, and fowls of the air, to fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, captains, mighty men, horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw a beast, and the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So this is Satan loosed for a little season, like we're going to get to in chapter 20. And this is the Battle of Armageddon. And this is judgment. It's all of it. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet. So right here, they're being judged. So it's no real war. They all think they're going to war, and then everybody gets dealt with. And we'll delve deeper into that, good Lord willing, Revelation 20. So, and the beast was taken, and the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, which deceiveth them that had received the mark of the beast, and then that worship his image. These both were cast alive into the lake burning with fire and brimstone. So the lake of fire, those that are cast into the lake of fire alive are only the fallen angel community. That's it. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. And that takes care of Revelation 19. There we go. Wrong. Column 2 starting tomorrow there when we're caught up. Great. And over to Matthew. I did not actually set this up. Thought I did. So it's going to be 60-28-3. All right, here we go. And laid it on its own new tomb, which he had hewn out of the rock, and rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre, and departed. There was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting against the sepulchre. Now on the next day that followed the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that the deceiver said, while he was yet alive, after 3 days I will rise again. Commanded therefore that the sepulchre be made sure until the third day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto his people, He is risen from the dead. So the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, Ye have a watch, go your way, make it as sure as ye can. And they went and made the sepulchre sure. So that just means that they guarded it, sealing the stone and setting a watch. In the end of the Sabbath, also it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. Came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake. For the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came down and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And now let's move over to, let me look at something real quick. Yes, okay. So now we're going to go and get set up for the next study and then the next study. So hang on, get everything taken care of. All right, we're going to do the Revelation. Then the Revelation, they're only it's column 1 and column 3, so it's like Revelation 7, 9 through 15. And then we did the next column, and then it's Revelation 8 through 13 that I missed. It'll be Matthew 22, 24 through 35. Then we did the next column, and then the one I skipped, 23, 4 through 14. So it's just one column. So it's almost like these stories will almost run together. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes. These are those that went through the great tribulation, with palms in their hands, cry with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God that sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders, and the four beasts, and fell down before the throne on their faces and worshiped God, saying, Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom and honor and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our God forever and ever. And one of the elders answered and said, Who are these which are arrayed in these white robes, and where they come from? And then John said, Sir, you know. And so he said to me, These are they which came out of the great tribulation and have washed their robes and have made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Now, are these the humans that have been raised and are alive? No, it's their souls. Therefore, so it's abstract figurative speech. This is just John's vision. Therefore, are they before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple that sitteth on the throne and shall dwell among them. When does that happen? That's the whole church. When the New Jerusalem comes down as a bride. So that's why it's abstract figurative speech, because this is just those who went through the Great Tribulation. But what they're describing is what every human sheep gets to do from Adam and Eve all the way through, how they get to be with God, and God will dwell among them. God doesn't just dwell among those who went through the Great Tribulation. He dwells with all the sheep after judgment, and then the new heaven comes down as a bride, and then it's very descriptive of how, in much more detail, how he will dwell among them. Does he just dwell among those who went through the Great Tribulation? No, he dwells among the entire church. If not, then that means Moses and everybody doesn't make it to heaven. And of course, we know that they do. Sheep are not just those that go through the Great Tribulation. That's just the final, that's the largest calling of a numbered amount of sheep. That's why it's God's amazing great climax to this movie called Earth Life that we're all living in his Word of God. All right, so now let's move over. There's a column that we did, and then there's the column that we missed. So let's keep going. And a second angel sounded as if it were a great mountain burning with fire and cast into the sea, and a third part of the sea became blood, and a third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and a third part of the ships were destroyed, and a third angel sounded, and it fell a great star from heaven, burning as if it were a lamp, and it fell upon a third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of the waters. And that same star is called wormwood, and a third part of the waters became wormwood, and men died of the waters because they were made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and a third part of the sun was smitten, and a third part of the moon, and a third part of the stars, and a third part of them was darkened, so that the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. Why all these thirds? Because it's the third part of the angels that fell, and that's who's receiving God's wrath, because the human host dies off in the body, and the fallen angels have taken over the human bodies. That's what the mark of the beast is. It's total human body possession. The human host eventually dies off, and so all the suffering then goes, of course, to the fallen angels that have to suffer like humans as they are in these human bodies. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by the reason of the other voices of the trumpet and of the three angels, which are yet to sound. And over to the two Matthew verses that we skipped, or passages, I should say. Matthew 22, verse 24 through 35. Saying, Master, Moses said, if a man die and have no children, and his brother shall marry his wife and raise up seed unto his brother. Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married his wife, deceased, and having no issue, left his wife unto his brother. Likewise the second also, and the third, and all the way through the 7th. And at last of all the woman died then also. Therefore in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of all 7 of these men? For they all had her, but again, properly, because they all died off. Each man died. So when they died, she's allowed to remarry. Jesus answered and said unto them, Ye do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry, nor are given in marriage, but are as angels of God in heaven. And again, why is this? Because why would you be married to somebody when you have no memory of this life on earth? When he says, behold, wipes away all the tears of our eyes because we witness judgment, and then says, behold, I make all things new again, that's because you no longer have a memory of your sinful life in the sinful body, of prideful moments of scoring a touchdown, or sad moments of watching your family members get judged, or prideful moments, or fleshly moments of having sex with this person, or losing your virginity over here out of wedlock, and or doing drugs, or getting drunk, or all these. It's gone. Your memory's gone. You have no more memory of this life in this flesh. And to give you a parallel to that, if I may, there's people alive today due to Alzheimer's that don't have a memory of their life doing things anyway. And when you're with God, you are not going to care about anything anyway. As I've tried to explain in the best way that I can, if your favorite group was the Rolling Stones and they were in concert and you were in the front row, sitting there with Mick Jagger right in front of you, you wouldn't be sitting there going, I remember when I lost my virginity. I remember when I scored that touchdown. No, you'll be in the moment there with Mick Jagger. That's how it is, exponentially more so when you're in this angelic state and you're with God. The only thing you will care about is being with God. It's the best explanation I can give you. So let's go back to see what Jesus said. Jesus answered and said unto them, Ye do err, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but a God of the living. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. But when the Pharisees had heard it, that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, saying, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying. Then we did the next column, and now let's do the one we skipped. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers, but all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their I can surely tell you I skipped this one because I haven't seen that word in a long time. And enlarge their borders of their garments. I have no idea what that word is. I don't think I've ever seen it before. What do y'all think?
Phylacteries.
Phylacteries. Small leather boxes containing biblical verses that Jewish men traditionally wear on their arm and forehead during morning prayers. Okay. And love the uppermost rooms at feast and the chief seats in the synagogues and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. But he that is the greatest among you shall be your servant, and whoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore ye shall receive greater damnation. I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.